Hey everyone, this is Hedgepig on a somewhat beautiful Mother's Day Sunday. So to start out, let's say Happy Mother's Day to anybody out there that's a mother. Hello, husband. We have an interesting lineup today. We have I'm going to be doing a brunch for dinner because, well, somewhat, or breakfast for dinner again because, well, it's just what I wanted to cook for one thing, and I didn't really want to get up early and actually do a brunch stream when people might actually be having a Mother's Day brunch with their mother. Hold on just one moment, please. I see a problem. So we'll be right back. Yes. Actually, now you're showing the front side of the table, but that's okay. Okay, so here we are. Yay! Sorry about that. We were showing off the table, and I really didn't want to do that, so we are not. Anyway, so I am going to be doing a breakfast stream, basically. You can make it any time of the day. And I am going to be making scrambled eggs with what would be biscuits and gravy if my husband liked biscuits. And for some reason, he doesn't like them. I've never really been able to understand why, but I guess it's just too much soft bread for him or something. He's British. What can I say? It's the American biscuit is really not something that they have over there, and coming over here in his 20s, he just never really picked up the liking for it, and he's tried it several times, just doesn't like it. So instead we're doing toast, and this is going to be scrambled eggs on top of toast, which we are then going to smother with absolutely gorgeous, delectable, and yummy country gravy, which is made with sausage, in this case a turkey sausage because I'm allergic to pork. And it is traditionally one that has sage in it for flavor, and it's usually quite peppery, but I'm going to cut back on the pepper just because I really don't like it to the point where it's hot, and I've had it that way. It's really easy to go overboard. So what happens if I eat pork? I get violently ill. So welcome in, Brit. What would you like me to call you? Is Brit okay, or do you need it to? Would you like it to be something else? Anyway, I have food allergies, so among some of them are meat, and I'm also allergic to garlic, which makes cooking interesting. It makes it a lot safer for me than eating out, though. Welcome in, and thank you for joining us on this Sunday late afternoon, early evening. Yeah, I can get very sick when I eat beef as well. I really don't have the ability naturally to digest animal proteins anymore, and by animal I mean mammals. It's just something weird. I gradually lost my ability to digest it. I don't make the enzymes. Hey there, cool. How are you doing there? Glad you were joining us today. Yeah, so I often do specialty shows where I talk about alternates you can do if you are allergic to things. For instance, if you are a vegetarian, you could very easily make this with some of the vegetarian sausages that they have out, especially now that they have the Impossible sausages and some of the others that are out there that are actually quite nicely flavored, if you can tolerate garlic, because they do have garlic in them, so I can't eat them, but that's fine. And if you are lactose intolerant, you can make this, which is based on a white sauce. Country gravy is basically a pan gravy that is made after you fry the meat source. Could be bacon, could be ham, could be sausages. And once you've got that, you add flour to the oil that's in there, or you can completely cut that out and use butter. But you're losing a lot of flavor when you do that. However, it's fine. But you can use, I'm not sure I would recommend soy milk, but oat milk works quite well with making white sauces out of it. I have done that. I'm assuming some of the others, like I've seen people make them with almond milk. Obviously, you would not use the sweetened or flavored versions of these, so you wouldn't be using vanilla almond milk, or so you would use the plain almond milk. And I do try to come up with options for people. So the people that will only eat seafood, I'll come up with options for them too. So to get into it, to start here, I am going to be making scrambled eggs, which is not as simple as you might think it is, because it's really easy to take and make something that looks like scrambled eggs, but will bounce like a Super Bowl if you overcook them. So I'm going to get my mouse out of here to start with. And I am going to give a freebie here to any mother that is out there and say, Pink Pig comes out and says, Happy Mother's Day! Yay! This is Pink Pig. Alright. I have got an electric skillet here, which is what I choose to use for making the scrambled eggs when I'm going to make as many of them as I am today. The secret with scrambled eggs is you do not want to overcook them. You want to cook them just until they're done, and it is actually a lot sooner than you might think it would be. I will show you the stage where you have to go, and I am going to make a lot of scrambled eggs. Hey, LD! Thanks for the wish. Thanks to everybody coming in here on their Mother's Day. I appreciate that. I am going to be making, as I said, it would be biscuits and gravy, but my husband hates biscuits, so I am not going to bother doing those. If you would like actual biscuits to do this on, that's certainly your choice, and you can either make them from scratch, or you can get some very lovely ones in a roll from Pillsbury, and they're actually quite nice. I am going to make a lot of scrambled eggs, and I don't see any reason why you all need to watch me crack the eggs, so I'll just talk during it. You want to make sure that your eggs are fresh. Don't be cooking eggs that you have had in the refrigerator for weeks hanging out. Check the dates on them. When in doubt, you need to err on the side of caution and throw them out. Eggs are not that expensive. Hopefully you've used them before they've gone bad. But yeah, always start with fresh eggs, open them, and make sure they aren't funny colored, they aren't cloudy inside, they aren't semi-solid, because that has a tendency to mean the egg is bad. And my husband has taken over my screen again, and it's a little disorienting, but that's okay. I'm used to it. I am going to make 18 eggs here to make the scrambled eggs with, because we are going to have leftovers. And that's a good thing. This does actually make quite good leftovers. There's nothing wrong with keeping your eggs that you've got that you've done scrambled and just reheating them in the microwave, and put them on toast or put them on leftover biscuits that you've got from this. And the sausage gravy, of course, will also keep very well. Yes, that's true. If your eggs float, that is a good sign they are bad. And I don't mean just a little light bobble. If they're floating, if you have to have the water deep enough so that you can tell if they're floating. But yeah, that's one of those things they tell you about, is to make sure that they are not floating. Also, if they, like I said, are cloudy, discolored, if they have like a bright red dot in them, that just means that it's a fertilized egg. Not a big deal. And of course, if it has feathers and a beak. Oh, that was an egg that got away from someone. More common if you see things like that, if you get the eggs from a farmer's market or directly from someone who is selling eggs that they have raised themselves from their chickens and whatever. Again, that's something you usually see if you live out in the country, if you don't have the eggs yourself. Exactly. Thank you, honey. I am glad to say. Are you going to be streaming today, LD, or are you just hanging out after Mother's Day? Because I know you are an East Coaster, so it is much later for you than it is for us. LD is not only a professional chef, but he is a streamer of the game The Long Dark and some other games. He has branched out. He does, I believe, Green Hell, but he's a wonderful streamer. He really is. He's a very good gamer, and he has a lovely voice to listen to, and is an absolutely amazing chef. He even does some streams where he's doing cooking. Yeah, that's very important if you're a streamer, to set to those schedules so you don't get your significant other ticked off at you, shall we say. Yeah, I mean, I can't eat the escargot that you made on that one stream because of the garlic, and I'm not really sure what it would taste like without garlic. Maybe I could try something with shallots or something instead, but yeah, I can't eat it because of the garlic, but it sure looked delicious, and I have smelled it. But once upon a time, I was taking a French class, and one of our things our French teacher did is take us all to a French restaurant, and she wanted us all to try escargot. And that was a beautiful argument because she didn't believe that anybody could possibly be allergic to garlic. Yeah. Anyway, so I've got 18 eggs here, and I am going to add about a quarter cup of milk to that. It's a little shy of that. You probably want to add an ounce, maybe, or a little bit more than that. The idea behind adding that in there is it just, I don't know, it just makes the eggs taste better. What can I say? So I've got the eggs in here, and I have got the milk, which I just poured in there. And I was incredibly stupid for plugging this in instead of what I use to whisk this many eggs. And when I say whisk, I mean I use a power tool. Hey, look at that. There's Connor in. Thank you so much for showing up, Connor. I know it's very, very late for you. This is the Only Deaf Guy. He is my chef buddy from the UK, and he is a streamer, and he streams live 6 days a week from his cafe, which is the only place you can get rotisserie chicken in all of Gloucestershire. And that's saying something. Of course I've been talking about you. I'm very proud of you. You're a wonderful chef. And I mean, his food is just delectable. I set up a warning, because I modded for him for about a year, And I made a warning that you must watch his stream with a snack and a drink so that you do not chew the leg off of a passerby or yourself, because you will get hungry. Oh Lord, his food is so delicious looking. And although I've never tried it because he's in England, I have every confidence that it is just as good as it looks. Now, I am going to blend this up with a stick blender because I said I'm going to blend this up with a stick blender because it is just faster when we're talking about 18 eggs. And I apologize for the noise, which you couldn't hear because of the noise. Woo, that's extra loud on top of this, so I'm going to take it off and make sure it's actually blended all the way through. It does get it completely mixed up, of course, between the whites and the yolks. And there, we're done. So, all right. That is usually something that Andrew likes to do because he likes his power tools. And I might be a little extra bubbly before this stream because I celebrated Mother's Day in the traditional manner for my husband and I. We have no children. I set out for espresso. So I had espresso. I had a big one. I have a lot of caffeine running in me. So, yeah, I think I'm at max caffeine at the moment. There was one point before Andrew and I were married, we were actually driving down to Las Vegas to get married. We had a destination wedding, and we started out the day with espresso, and then because I was doing all the driving, he didn't have a license yet. We stopped every place there was to stop to get more coffee, plus we had Red Bull in the car. I didn't like it at the time, but I did like those lovely, lovely little bullets called double shots that they have from Starbucks. And as I'm driving down the road, there's this street that's announced, and it says Dunn Road, 2 miles, and then Dunn Road, 1 mile. And then it had the announcement right there at the turn, Dunn Road, and I had been smoking. I don't know why I said that. I had been drinking this coffee pretty much all morning, and so I watched Dunn Road 2 miles, Dunn Road 1 mile, then it was Dunn Road, and I looked at Andrew and I went, da, 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 and just cracked up, and I couldn't stop laughing. And Andrew reached over and took my coffee away from me. Hey Maverick, welcome in, welcome in. No, we are not near Pennsylvania. However, as I understand it, LD is from that general area. And I think you've heard me talk about him before. And he is the other professional chef in my channel that I know about at the moment. So you guys have lots to talk about if you want to. Anyway, so yeah, me and caffeine, when there's a lot, when I have a lot of it, can get me more than a little silly and often kind of loud. And I know if I have way too much because I just start giggling and I can't stop. It's the same reaction I have to alcohol. Hey, Cece, welcome in, welcome in. Cece needs a shout out too because, as I have told people, 99% of my stream watchers are other streamers. So it seems to be a hazard in the TLD community, the Long Dark community, where I met most of the people here, that everybody watches the game and everybody also streams. So, hey Cece, how are you doing? Happy Mother's Day to you and your family. I know you're not a mother yourself, but hey, at least I assume so. I think you are the other type, not mother. Okay, so I have got 18 eggs. I am making scrambled eggs that I'm going to put on toast, and then I am going to absolutely smother. What? Not female. That's what I meant. I assume CC is a male type person. Anyway, I am going to be making scrambled eggs, and then I'm going to put them on toast because, I'll say it again, my husband doesn't like biscuits. And then I'm going to smother it in rich and delectable sausage country gravy. So I am going to start out here by spraying the pan that I am going to be making the eggs in with canola cooking oil. And it is my choice for most of my cooking because it is a very lightly flavored oil, so it doesn't really add anything to the dish, which is kind of what I'm going for in most cases. Oh no, I know how to make scrambled eggs, my dear. I do. Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier, that it's a little more complicated to make a scrambled egg than most people think. You don't just whip up an egg and throw it into a pan. You need to add some milk to it, which kind of prevents it from going a little rubbery. And you need to stop cooking it before you think you need to stop, because if you cook it till it is completely solid all the way, which would be the way that you would normally look at it when it's on your plate and as you're eating it, you've overcooked it, because it is going to continue cooking for a little bit after you take it off the heat. That's how cooking works. When you finish cooking, it continues to cook for a while because it's still got all that heat. So it will continue, and we don't want that with eggs because, like I said, what you will have then is super balls. So I have put this in an electric skillet because I cook on a cooktop here on a folding table here in our living room, because our kitchen has about 2 feet of counter space total spread out throughout the entire kitchen. Hey, Cindy, welcome in, so nice to see you. Hello. Is that Kate saying hello to me through Maverick? If so, hello Kate, how are you? So I have put this in the electric skillet. I've got the temperature up at about 275 because I want it to be fairly warm. Oh, chicken soft tacos, yum, that sounds nice. Do you use like shredded chicken, or do you use ground? I'm gonna pour my whipped eggs in here now. Oh, thank you so much for the biddies there. Thank you so much, Connor. That's so nice of you. And what I have got to stir that with is my favorite kitchen implement, the spatula. Pulled chicken, breast meat, awesome. Do you ever do it with the thigh? I actually prefer thigh meat for most things because it's a dark meat, so it's a little higher in fat, but it also is a little higher in flavor. I like to mix it if I'm doing something like, if I was going to do like a taco or a burrito out of chicken, I would mix it with the breast meat because I like to have a mix of it. I just think it adds a little bit more to it. Now, since I've already got this on a higher temperature and I waited to let it come up to heat, it's already starting to make scrambled eggs. So you want to keep moving around in this case. just kind of slowly make sure nobody gets stuck on the ground. You don't want to have it burn, and it's easy to do, especially in an electric skillet. You want me to play Ark? Well, I want to play Ark, and I'm hoping to revisit that this coming week. And I am really looking forward to that. I have missed playing it. And it has been a while since my chair died. Ouch! You can slap up a burn there for me, honey. I just was not careful. Do not touch the sides of your electric skillet because, you know what? That bugger's hot. It really is. About 275 degrees. So as you can see, it's already starting to make little egg lumps in here, and you do want it to have a chance to set a little bit. But, oh, the bot's dead. Oh no. Oh well. Now nobody knows how often I burn myself. Ha ha. So, you just want to give it a little bit of time, and then you want to scrape it so that you aren't having anything stuck to the bottom that will burn. And that's bad both for your pan and for the washing up, but it also ruins the taste of the eggs. So we want to just continue doing that until they get more universally large. If you whisk this frantically the entire time, what you're going to end up with is egg rubble, and you kind of want to have it be a little bit bigger pieces of egg. So we are going to let it set a little bit in between, but with a really big skillet like this, this is an 18 by 13 skillet, and it is extra deep, so it actually contains quite a bit. You want to make sure that you keep moving things around, or you'll end up with a really nasty cleaning job, which then falls to my husband because I love him so much. He does all of my prep and all of my tear down, and that's just part of our partnership. I pay him. I know I'm sucking up. Yeah, absolutely. Ask questions. If you have a question, say it. Now, the good thing about the eggs is that they will gradually get into larger and larger clumps if you do it this way, which I know there's probably a term for it, but clumps works for me. And I think I failed to say it, Cindy, but happy Mother's Day to you too. I hope you're having a good holiday with your family, whether that's with your own kids or with your parents or with friends. So, can I make cake? Yes, I can make cake. I don't often do it because baking is not something I do a lot of. Why? Did you want to learn to make cake? Baking is, this sounds weird, but it has a different, see, I've got eggs sticking to the bottom here, and even in the best non-stick pans, it can do that. It'll come up, but at this point, I can just start flipping them, and I'm getting very close to the point where, although it doesn't look like it, the eggs will be done. And you want them still to be glossy and shiny. They have to be solid-ish, but you don't want them to be browned, and you want them to be just solid. Or, like I said, you're going to overcook them. And at this point, I've got some pieces which are becoming very much done, and some that I still need to scramble a little bit to get them to finish. So hang on a moment while I pay attention to this so I don't end up with burned eggs. So as you can see, you can still see that there's wet spots in the eggs, and you are actually almost done at this point. As long as there is not drippiness coming off of them, you're getting awfully close to where your eggs are done. So I will flip that, and I am going to be turning off the heat now because basically the eggs, although they don't look done, are done. They will finish doing the last of their cooking bits here, and I have really got it sticky, but that's okay. I am now going to take this. I've got my egg bowl. I'm taking it out of the way, and I am getting out a container for them to sit in and make to become a finished dish. And as you can see, there are portions that have been stuck here that are actually more than just done, but they're actually stuck on the cooking surface and not the eggs themselves. Browned eggs, if you're talking about scrambled eggs, not good. You've burned them. These are still moist, and you can see that if you, I will show you in a moment when I finish getting the rest of the eggs out of here. Oh, am I being given the shaming eye of Pink Pig? I think I am. Yes, I think I am. I will let you take this in a moment, honey. I don't want to get anything that's burned or too browned, and here we go. Away it goes. Okay, so now I will show you what I meant by the fact that when they are done, they are still moist, and you can see they're moist because they have a glossiness to them. Here, I'm gonna see if it will focus. Not great. Oops, that was great. That was a mistake. We aren't gonna look at those. Anyway, that's the danger of doing that kind of thing. I will get that off of there before it gets into place and finish cleaning it up later. The dog will enjoy those bits of scrambled egg now that I've hit the table and all of that. And I am actually going to remove them from the plate that I have there too. So, okay. Anyway, you can see that the eggs are, what you should be seeing there is that the eggs are pale, that they hold their shape, and that they are still glossy and look slightly wet, but not fluid. So you need to have it so they're not fluid. Yes, it would make that is about the point where you want to have the omelet too, because as I said, the eggs are going to continue cooking for a little while because they're hot. So I did not salt or pepper the eggs because I am going to be adding a sauce to it, and that sauce will be seasoned. I don't like to pre-season a lot of things, and you can get a real stack up of salt if you do that, and I watch the Salt in the Family for my mother. So there's nothing wrong with giving a little salt and pepper to your scrambled eggs, but I am going to be putting in a fairly peppery sausage, and that is going to be fried here in this pan. And it is a turkey sausage. Feel free to use pork sausage if you want. I think that you could. The last time I ate pork sausage before I figured out I was actually allergic to pork, I had Jimmy Dean's sausage with sage because I think the sage is a real it is a real addition to this particular recipe. So I am going to cut the pork sausage open here, and I am going to start I'm going to turn my heat up to just over medium, between medium and medium high. And that smells just fine. You'll see me do this a lot. I just smelled the sausage, and it was to make sure there weren't any strange aromas to it. I believe you should look at all of your food all of the time. Just like I told you how to look at the eggs. Look at your sausage, make sure it's not slimy, make sure it's not strangely colored, and smell it. Make sure it doesn't have an obnoxious smell in it. When meat starts to go, it gets a kind of sweetish stench to it. It's very singular. When it starts to decay, it just goes nasty. And if you smell anything that doesn't smell good in your food, if you have smelled it before and you have never smelled it that have that kind of aroma to it, don't take the chance. Food poisoning is serious. You can get a light case of it and it'll just be like a really bad case of the flu, or you can end up in the hospital. It has actually put me in the hospital before. So, I am going to use my spatula again. I would normally use a spatula, but why? I am gonna wipe the egg off this. Not that I'm worried about cross-contamination, but okay. And what you need to do with your food, you can use this, which comes in tubes. You can use the little sausage links if you want to, and chop them up. Yeah. Omelets are cool. They are a really yummy thing, a way to add eggs to some of your favorite toppings. I make a cheeseburger. I make a bacon cheeseburger omelet that is absolutely fabulous. I've also done fajita omelets and taco omelets, and you can add just about anything to them to jazz up your eggs. And you can either make them the fancy way, which is what actually dissuades a lot of people from making omelets, because flipping them in half, knowing when to do it, and being able to carry it off is what makes a lot of people instead make scrambled eggs with stuff in them. And another way that I actually prefer for making omelets is to bake them. And I have done baked omelets, and that is just scrambled eggs that you put in a baking dish and you put the ingredients in it and bake it. My computer is doing things again without me. That would be my husband. Anyway, so you want to make sure that your sausage is not only just browned, you need to make sure your sausage is done, especially if you're talking pork sausage. It's a ground product, so you need to make sure it's cooked all the way through. Don't leave any pink anywhere, because you could be looking at some nasty foodborne pathogens. It's just one of those things. Going through the grinding process, you have multiple surfaces that you cannot get at again, and if it has gone through a processing place where they haven't been especially good that one time, you can get some fairly nasty food poisoning from it, up to and including E. coli. I've had that, not fun. Had a temperature of 105 at one point, and I saw aliens and they talked to me. I also had some really interesting hallucinations about a food war breaking out in the neighborhood about pasta, but I won't go into that story right now. I'll talk about it next time I make pasta, maybe. So I want to scramble this up so that I have divided it up into smallish pieces, and then I will be cooking them from there. And For those of you who want to know what my... Okay, see you later, cool. That would be Shadow Meta Knight, and thank you for coming in. You can watch the rest of the VOD later if you want. Alrighty then. Okay, so if you want to know the equipment that I use here on stream, you can find it listed in my Discord under Stream Equipment. I have links to it so that you can see exactly what it is I have, or something that's near enough to it. It doesn't really make a difference. And no, I'm not getting any kickbacks from Amazon for selling it or anything. I just want you to know exactly what it is if you want to have, for instance, a hot plate like mine, that instead of using the coils, which is what most of them have, this hot plate actually has solid cast iron plates, which heat up more slowly, but it gives you a much better radiant heat that is even across the plate, and it tends to stay hot longer. So it takes a little bit of extra time to heat it up, but it's totally worth it. It will get hotter, it will hold the heat, which is also a danger after you turn the heat off, because you have to make sure that, you know, you can't just give it 10 minutes and expect it to be cool. Taking a pause here for more caffeine because I was starting to wear off the espresso, and that can't be had. So, biscuits and gravy is considered a comfort food. Some people consider it to be a southern thing, but it's kind of spread all across the country now. And it is that style of food that is rich, it is filling, and probably not the lightest in calories. It can be made better, it's true, it can be. You can make it lighter, you can use, you know, less bread, you can use skim milk if you want to, you can use turkey or ground chicken, sausage instead of pork. But at its heart, comfort food is the food that our mothers and our grandmothers made for us. And in older generations, especially my grandmother's generation, who grew up during a time where food was not just, it wasn't just like during rationing, like during the wars. She grew up in the 1930s. She grew up in the Great Depression, where it was very hard to get a lot of different kinds of foods. They didn't have a lot in the way of canned food. Canning was not something that was really done back then, unless you're talking about home canned. And so you didn't have the grocery stores that had everything. Most people in those days, there was someone in the neighborhood, if it wasn't someone else, then it was probably them, who had a cow for milk and probably had a few chickens so that they had eggs. And a way that was very, very common for these women to show how much they loved each other, how much they loved their families, their husbands, their in-laws, their friends, was to give them food, prepare them food that was filling and nutritious. And most of all, they would go out of their way to find the foods that you love, and they would make sure that not only did you have it, but that you had more than plenty. They, during this time of rationing and very lean times in some cases, because people were out of work, the country was not in a good state, and they would show you how much they loved you without saying it by giving you these foods and making sure that you had more than enough. They could offer you not just that item that you absolutely loved, they would offer you seconds. They might even let you take some home. And in a time when in some places families were not very demonstrative. It really just wasn't done. You didn't have a lot of hugging and kissing and all of that going on between, generations and all. And that was how they showed you they loved you. And that marked more than one generation. It was not only the generation that grew up in the Great Depressions, but the ones that were there during the wars, when they did have rationing of meat and sugar and all of the other things, and drives to collect it. And these are the times when giving you that meat or giving you that fruit was something that was more than just an effort beyond, I had to go to 2 grocery stores. Can you believe that? 2! Well, it was a lot more difficult then. And it was just a way that they showed love. And that's why I have said, and why a lot of other people that I know that are cooking streamers here have said, that food is a love language. If you love cooking, if you really enjoy, hosting those parties, having your friends over, having your families over, that food is a love language from you to them that says, I love you. It makes me feel good to give you something that is nourishing and tastes good, and that we've enjoyed together. And that's part of the reason why why I've spent the last, more than 30 years now, trying to find recipes that my family lost when members of the family have died without passing on their recipes. And in some cases, they've been lost forever. But I have been looking for years for these kind of things, because the food that you can cook for your family and friends is something they're going to remember. They're going to remember, Bill made that dinner and he made that lasagna, and oh my God, that was the best lasagna I've ever had. And when they smell that lasagna, when they smell those particular smells, when they taste that lasagna because they've made it because you gave them the recipe, they're going to remember Bill. They're going to remember their grandmother, maybe, if she was the one that passed it on, or their mother, or their sister or brother, or, their wife or husband who's now gone for whatever reason. Food is magical that way. It is not only a comfort, but it is taking care of someone, and it is literally a time capsule that your loved ones put their recipes into, and someday you'll be having something that you've not had since your father made it for you or your mother made it for you. And it reminds you of wonderful holidays you've had in the past. And it is something that I feel very deeply about, that you should pass those recipes on. I mean, it's one thing to say, I'm only going to pass it down to my daughter, I'm only going to pass it down to the family. If you love the person, give them the recipe so they can remember you that way, and maybe pass it on. This is actually pretty much cooked through. I am not seeing any more pink here, and it is not something that you're going to see with pork. The cooking juices you get out of a turkey sausage or a chicken sausage are not going to be like a pork sausage, because the pork sausage is going to make the grease, and there's one thing the turkey and the chicken sausages are: it is not fat. They are very, very lean. Hey Rose, welcome in. I am really happy to see you. Welcome in. And happy Mother's Day. Whether you're a mother or not, happy Mother's Day. It's a holiday. I hope you've been having a good day for a Sunday. Hi, Badass Mama, welcome in. I'm so glad you made it too. I am making, for those of you who are joining us late, I am making scrambled eggs, which I've already made, on toast, which I will then smother with country sausage gravy. And this is turkey sausage because I can't eat pork. You could also, by the way, not only if you're vegan or vegetarian, well, you're probably vegetarian if you're going to be making this and putting it on top of eggs. You could make this with bacon. You can make this bacon gravy just as easily as you do sausage. If you don't happen to have it, it's easy enough to do. So I am going to get my next bowl to put the sausage in. And I have these lovely 15-cup plastic bowls. And because let's be honest, if you know me, you'll know I am making a lot, no matter what it is that I am cooking here. So I am gonna take and spoonchula this out into the bowl here. And although I'm not gonna be adding, oh, what the heck, yeah, I am. This isn't a big bunch of fat you're looking at in here. What you're actually looking at is some fat with cooking juices from the turkey sausage being cooked, and it will add flavor to the gravy I am making next. You can make this with turkey bacon, you can make it with regular bacon, and just make it a bacon country gravy instead of a sausage country gravy. Perfectly acceptable. So, make sure that no fats run down. And at this point, I am going to be making, if this had been a pork sausage or a bacon, I'd be adding flour right into everything. Yeah, putting the scrambled eggs on top of your biscuits and then putting the gravy on top of it is really decadent and yummy and amazing. And my oldest brother, Michael, made that for me the one and only time I have had it when it hasn't been me making it. And like I said, you can make this with pork, you can make it with turkey, you can make it with ham, you can make it with sausage, you can make it with bacon. All those ways, you would take the pan drippings from those pork products and you would be adding flour directly to that, but because this doesn't have those fats, I'm adding the fat in the way of butter. And I am making one of the mother sauces, which is called a bechamel or a white sauce. And a mother sauce is a sauce that, there's only 7 of them. Tomato sauce is one of them. The white sauce or bechamel is another. And at the point you then add something else to it, like in this case the sausage, that becomes a daughter sausage, a daughter sauce. So if you would take and, start adding meat into the sauce, well, you've just made that a daughter sauce. It's no longer a mother sauce when you add something to it, but it is the base for all of the other sauces. And I'll get into those. I'll make them, most of them, for you at some point or other. And what I am doing here is adding a stick of butter to the pan here, and I'm going to turn the heat down so I don't burn the butter while it is melting. And roll it around here so it gets more of a chance to melt. And then I am going to be adding flour to it. And my husband recently took the flour container and filled it completely up. So it's kind of heavy, and I will be adding to the, I believe that's a half a cup of butter, I will be adding about half a cup of flour. So I have got roughly a half cup here, and you add that to the butter, or if it had been oil in this, instead you'd make sure you had about that much fat source in your pan, and then you would whisk the flour into it, and you want it to ideally resemble wet sand. That's really the consistency that you are. Am I making a roux? Yeah, I am making a roux that is the basis for the white sauce or the country gravy that you make if you were using pan drippings as your fat source. This is butter instead because the turkey sausage doesn't really have a lot of fat. And I'm doing it without wiping the pan out because, as you can see, maybe you can't see, there's little bits of meat in here, and there's little bits that I am getting off of the bottom and have remained in here from when I cooked it, and that's all going to add flavor to your roux and to the sauce that comes after that. So this is a little bit more than wet sand, but not by a lot. So I'm going to call it good because I don't want to have it be so dry that it's pretty much a solid, and I would have to add further oil to it to make it actually be fluid. And you need to then let this roux cook. I am using a regular all-purpose flour. I know that you are gluten-free, if I recall. You can get gluten-free. Wow, we're dropping frames. You can get gluten-free flour and use that. That is an option. And or you could even use like rice flour or potato flour, something like that, and that will work as well. Kate kicked you off your phone. Oh no! So are you watching me on your PlayStation or your computer? Oh, okay, talk later. His wife likes to watch my cooking streams, and you know, let's be honest, she's probably going to be the one cooking this anyway. So you need to let this flour cook for about 4 or 5 minutes so that the flour is actually cooked within it. Yes, she should have her own Discord account so that she can watch what she wants to watch and you don't get kicked off the phone. And you can both talk to me at the same time. That would be nice. So, but hey, Kate. And so we're gonna cook this. It will bubble, and this is being done. Where am I in temperature range? This is being done at just a little bit over medium. You do not want to be cooking a white sauce. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fine. Is it the wheat that you're allergic to, Badass Mama? Or is it the gluten? I know that they do make gluten-free flour. That is not something that will help you if you're actually allergic to wheat. The actual wheat and not just the glutens in it, because I know there is a separation there. I have seen gluten-free flour. You could also make this with almond flour or, like I said, rice flour or potato flour if you have issues with wheat gluten. So what we want to do is let this cook for a few minutes, and not very long, so that what we have is cooked flour that will not taste like, well, raw flour or raw bread. If you've ever had that, where you've ever had an undercooked baked item like a biscuit or a muffin or bread itself, if you have a gravy or a soup that has, and it has a floury flavor, that's because they didn't cook the flour all the way. And so yeah, it doesn't taste right. I am now going to add the milk to this, And I always use milk that is room temperature for this, because, or that I have warmed up in the microwave, not till it's hot, just so that the chill is gone. Because when you put, if you put cold liquid directly into the roux, the first thing it's going to do is it's going to seize up and it'll make lumps. And what you then will have is not so much a bechamel or a milk gravy or white sauce. What you'll have is white sauce that has some dumplings in it, because that flour will then boil in that shape or cook in that shape, and you won't be able to whisk it out. You can very quickly, at this stage, if this had seized up, I could put the immersion blender in it and get those lumps out really quickly. Okay. So I would suggest you try to find some potato flour or rice flour in that case. I'm pretty sure you're already familiar with those sources. I've seen chickpea flour. I have even seen pasta that is made with lentil flour. It can be made out of a lot of starchy vegetable sources like peas, potatoes, rice. Oh, okay, well there you go. That works just fine for this. And to that, slightly under half cup flour and half a cup of butter, I have now added about 4 cups of milk. And this will cook just for a little bit. It needs to start to thicken up. And at this point, I am going to season it a little bit. I am going to add some salt, not a lot, because the sausage is salted. So I will add, I'm probably adding about a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and that is from my lovely salt grinder, and that is sea salt. So it does not have the iodine in it we have from our iodized salt. I am going to add just a little bit of pepper. That would be called a pinch. It is not something that you can easily measure, but it does need a little bit of pepper in here. I have not. I've looked at it probably a dozen times or so, but I haven't ever actually tried it. It's just it's just another rock salt. I don't know if there's anything to it except that it's from the Himalayas and it's pink. It is a rock salt, just like my white salt I have here is also a rock salt. Interestingly, I have found out that they don't have iodized salt in England. Iodine is added to our salts, like the Morton salt, because people were getting sick when they didn't have access to the seafood and other iodine sources, because it is something that we need to have. So if you only use the rock salt, if you only use the sea salts, make sure you also have a source of iodine, because it is a nutritional requirement. You can get it from eating fish, especially ocean fish. Oysters are particularly strong in it, and it is a requirement. That's why they started adding it to Morton salt. Okay, now when you're cooking these white sauces, and this is at, like I said, between medium and medium high, it will make a layer on the cooking surface where the flour and such starts to settle, and that is what will thicken first. And you don't want it to stay there long enough and not be included in the rest of the sauce. Basically, you don't want it to make lumps. And I am dressed up today, although you can't tell and never will, wearing a special outfit for Mother's Day. I love green. My husband calls it because he is colorblind and green does not look good to his eyes. So I do apologize. I used to wear green all the time. But anyway, so we want to have this get thicker and we want to keep it going. And at this point, I am going to add some flour or some parsley to it because, well, parsley adds iron, which is something I need a lot of. And it adds a herbal tang, I guess, to what it is you're cooking, and it's also very pretty in a sauce. And it's also a good way you can tell when the sauce has become a sauce. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Right back at you. Happy Mother's Day. When I first put the parsley in this sauce, it all floats on the top. You can clearly see that. When this becomes a sauce, when it gets the thickness to actually be considered a sauce, the parsley will stop floating on top and it will incorporate its way through the sauce and hold its own specific level, basically. So we're not there yet, and it is a stage that's called coating the back of a spoon, because you can stick a spoon in there and the sauce is thick enough that it will coat the back of the spoon. I've got some spoons here to show you with. And yes, anytime you dunk milk into, or a spoon into milk, you see it clings to it a little bit. It's starting to set, so it will make a track in it, but that's not a sauce. That's thin, 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 thin. You want to have it coat the back of the spoon thickly, and you want to have it so that when you draw that line, you actually have a part that stays aside without having it moosh back together into the middle. I would suggest, Kate, if you don't like Tom's phone, what you need to do is get Twitch on your own phone and make a Twitch account for yourself. That would allow me to know when I'm talking to Tom and when I'm talking to you, and you could both talk to me at once, and that would be fabulous. I'd love that. You could also get Twitch on your computer that you have and watch me there on a big monitor instead of a little dinky phone screen. I know I don't like watching Twitch from a phone if I can help it. It's so tiny and I'm so nearsighted. This has not yet made the sauce. It doesn't take that long. I'm cooking it slowly and gently. I've just turned it a little bit more towards the medium high side of the medium. But you don't ever want to let your white sauce boil. You will make cheese at that point, and that's not good. You want this to be thicker, like a gravy, but you do not want to have it be wallpaper paste, and you don't want it to be so thin that it just runs all over. Doesn't take that long. And one good thing about these sauces is you take the base liquid. You could thin this with water, or you could thin it with more milk. If it goes too thick and you go, oh my gosh, what do I do? Well, you keep whisking it and you add some more of its base liquid. In this case, if I needed to thin it, I would thin it with milk. And, you know, in this amount, an ounce or two at a time, it doesn't really take that much. And as you can see here, although some of this is still floating on the top, I don't know if you can tell quite yet, but the parsley is starting to go down into the liquid and it is becoming part of the sauce. And it is still probably about as thick as just cream. But once it starts actively starting to thicken like this, it goes pretty quick. Hey, Chef Mint, welcome in. I am making, this is country sausage gravy made with turkey sausage that I am going to be putting on toast. Could be biscuits if you like biscuits. My husband doesn't, so I am making it with toast. And I am then putting scrambled eggs on top of that toast or biscuit, and then putting the sausage country gravy over it for a very yummy tastiness. Well, when we get done with my stream, I will definitely raid him, and as long as I can find him on Twitch actively at the time. So I'm glad you got to see one of my streams, Chef Mint. I talked to you. We've talked on many the Long Dark stream, and I appreciate you all for following me. That's lovely. I suppose it is basically a take on the Southern biscuits and gravy, which is made with sausage gravy. I've seen some people make it with ham instead, and I know that you can make it with bacon as well, because a country gravy made with bacon is also a lovely thing. So yeah, it's starting to get there. It is definitely starting to get there. And I need to turn the temperature down because it is starting to get perilously close to simmering, and you don't want to do that. That will split your gravy. It will split your sauce, and then what you'll have is a runny whey with thickness. Yeah. Well, I usually cook it on medium, but it was taking a bit too long for stream, so. And as you can tell, it's not all floating on the surface anymore. It's still going to have a certain amount of that because I put about 2 tablespoons of parsley in here. I am very profuse with the parsley. I just absolutely love it. One of my favorite ways to make chicken is to take a chicken breast or thigh, salt and pepper it, and then literally press it into dried parsley on one side like you were breading it. And then I just bake it, and I love it when it's hot, and it makes especially good sandwiches later with what I just call parsley chicken. And it is one of those things which I would never bother to write down, except for the fact that nobody else knows exactly how I did it, and although it is really simple and plain as dirt to do, sometimes these things need to be written down so someone else knows how you made that thing, and that you didn't add tarragon to the chicken, and you didn't add, you know, garlic to it. And so this is getting very close to where it's actually a sauce, the thickness that I want it to be. And if I were to test it now and put the spoon back into it, you'll see that it's still quite thin, but it is not as thin as it was. I can actually draw a line in it. It will hold the line, but the actual sauce on either side runs down my finger from that, so it's still way too loose. It is not ready to be considered a sauce yet. Now, if you were going to be serving this not by the plateful, but, you know, family style, where you have a gravy boat or a bowl of gravy with a ladle in it, you might want to stop a little bit before the ideal thickness, because just like with the scrambled eggs that I stopped it when it was still shiny and wet but not fluid, those eggs continue to cook with the residual heat for a little bit, so that you don't want to cook them all the way completely done, or what you're going to end up with is rubber balls. And you don't want to make this the absolute ideal thickness and then have it sit and cool down on the table, because you'll end up with cement. So when you put country gravy or things like this into the refrigerator, they will thicken up if you are using leftovers later. You want to add a teaspoon maybe of milk to a single serving and stir it up, and then reheat it in your microwave. So I am going to keep going on this. And what I'm actually going to do is I am going to thin this with the cooking juices from the turkey sausage that I sauteed. I guess if you don't like covering your things, I know that kind of bugs some people. You could just have your biscuits and gravy to the side, or your toast with the gravy to the side, and then have your scrambled eggs separate, or leave eggs out completely and just have the biscuits and gravy. I try to add a little bit of extra protein in there for my husband, so I'm adding the eggs as well. And it's just important that you keep stirring the bottom because you do not want to have it stick and burn. Because when you burn the bottom of something while you're cooking it, that flavor gets all the way through what it is you're cooking. I think you can see now, this is not all floating on the top. It's actually sunk in to the sauce that's building here. It is, the parsley is incorporating itself all the way through it instead of just floating on top. And can you see the difference there? I hope you can. Oh yeah, that is exactly what happens. You need to stir your soups when you're cooking them so nothing that's floating in it can get to the bottom and just burn there. If you're making broth, that's one thing, and anything that you take out of there, if you're just, you know, reheating it, is going to be yeah, a sunny side or over easy egg. You could even take and, you know, if you like your eggs hard cooked, that's fine too. Fried eggs would be good with this. Poached eggs would be good with this. Yeah, I figured there was not that you meant to have a gap there between the 19 and the 20. Not that it was 1920 when you made it, because that would be fairly incredible, and happy 100th birthday. Eggs just seem to go with this. The biscuits are wonderful, but it does make a kind of a wet mass, which you kind of have to be prepared for. It's just like hot sandwiches, the hot roast beef sandwich, hot turkey sandwich. You kind of got to be prepared for the fact that the gravy you put on it is going to soften the bread, even if you make it with toast. Just like when you put gravy on top of your stuffing, the stuffing gets wetter, and you know, that's fine. It's what it's supposed to do. That is why the gravy is on there, is to make it moist and yummy. Over medium on toast is good. I do like, I like my eggs over medium as well. To be properly cooked in my tastes for if I am going to be having a fried egg, the whites are cooked through, but the yolks are still wet and runny. Mav likes his over medium on toast. Any ideas? Yeah. This, I could do a whole stream just on things to add to eggs, and probably will eventually. This is now almost ready to be my finished sauce. You can see it doesn't have any things just floating on top now. It has the sauce itself is crap. I'm gonna get that out of here and use my spatula to finish stirring this. And I can tell you that by tasting this sauce here, it needs to have a little bit more salt, but I'm not going to do that until after I put the sausage back into it. Brunch for dinner is awesome, isn't it? Hi, MPH. How are you doing, buddy? Did you have today off? MPH is another cook friend of mine. He actually has his own cafe down in Florida. So I know you're familiar with biscuits and gravy. As you can see here, the gravy is getting much, much darker. What you're seeing is the fact that it is a sauce. The parsley I put in here has incorporated itself as a thickened, and that's how you can really tell it's become a sauce. And at this point, it's just how thick do you want it. That's great. Did you have to work today? Are you having a good Mother's Day? And happy Mother's Day again to you and your family. I know it's a time when people get together with their friends, with their family, and just, you know, it's an excellent time to have a brunch. So, alrighty. I am now going to add the sausage back into this with some of its liquid, but probably not all, because I've probably got 2 cups of turkey sausage cooking juices, and I don't want to add that much back in here. This is a commercially done turkey sausage because I am allergic to pork, but as I said, you could make this with regular pork. You could make it with the vegetarian sausages that they've come out with from, like, I know that Lifeways has some, and so does Impossible. They have made Impossible sausages in a couple different forms, and the Beyond people have also done Beyond sausage, and you could use those instead if you needed to be vegetarian for this. And that is not vegan, because vegetarians do actually eat things like egg and milk. And I am getting the sausage back into this, and this was basically 2 pounds of sausage that I've got in 4 cups of milk, and this is starting to simmer, and I don't want it to do that, so I will get it stirring. And as you can see, this has actually made a gravy now. It is this lovely thickness, and I am going to add some of the liquid because I do want some of the flavors of the cooking juices in here, because then it makes it so that not just the portions that have the sausage in it, but all of the liquid tastes like, well, like turkey sausage. Okay, I'm actually going to turn the heat off on this now because the sausage gravy itself is done. And I am going to get my dress sleeves out of here before I start trailing them in cooking. And what I have got, like I said, at this point you would use biscuits. If you were going to do it with biscuits, you can do it with toast like here, or just skip it and put it on top of your eggs. And this is nice and clean. Clean for me, but it was still wet, so I am going to get the wetness off of here. Oh, Andrew suggests that instead I put it directly in my mouth, and that is certainly a tempting option. I'm going to remove this from the heat because, as I have said, when these things heat up, they do not turn off immediately like a like the coil type. Well, if your only option is the plant-based proteins, then you're kind of stuck with what you're stuck with. Okay, so I have got a couple pieces of toast here that I am arranging. And then I'm going to take my eggs that I made earlier and have been sitting off to the side with a lid on so they're still warm. take the scrambled eggs and layer them back over the top of this. And I use a fair amount of the eggs because this is, after all, dinner. So I am using probably the equivalent of 3 to 4 eggs. And if you were making them per person, if you were going to serve 2 people, you would either put 6 or 8 eggs in, depending on how much eggs you want. And I like to make sure that all of the bread is covered. Gives it that little bit of extra time before the gravy soaks into it. And I'm going to dump that now, and I am doing some cleaning up as I go because I don't want it to. And then you take your sausage gravy and you ladle it over the top here, making sure, of course, that you have lots of sausage in what you're doing. And make sure that you get everything covered so that your sausage gravy will go down to the bread, and that your eggs are lovely and covered with the sausage graviness, the creaminess. And I'm going to take a paper towel here. And I would suggest, if you're doing this for something fancy or you want to have your diet be a little closer to being balanced, you also serve this with some nice cut fruit. So here is your plate with the sausage gravy and the eggs and the toast, and there we go. I'm a little behind on my picture posting and all, but I will catch up on that today, I promise. The recipes are normally found in my Discord under Stream Recipes. And there we go. Yep, perfect. Also perfect. My husband just showed me the pictures that he took in our light box, and he also showed me the picture that he took of Pink Pig smiling at the camera. And I'm going to give this, well, we don't have any more toast made at the moment, so I am going to try a bite of this like I don't know what it tastes like, but I do, and it's good. Okay, so I have got some egg, I have got some sausage, I have got some toast, and I am going to show you the bite of this. So here is that lovely gut bite where you see every little bit of it. The first flavor that you hit with is the taste of the sausage. It has sage in it, so it's a nice sagey taste. It is something I choke on. Excuse me. I tried to inhale that. Literally. You taste the turkey sausage. You get the creaminess of the sauce. You get the eggs in there and the toast. Again, excuse me. Some tried very, very hard to go down the wrong way. This is something that you can very easily put in the refrigerator, have the leftovers later, just heat it up in the microwave. If If you're gonna do something to yourself, do it right. If you're gonna choke yourself, make it so you can't talk after. Okay. So once again, I want to thank everybody who came. I want to thank my followers. I want to thank the people who have followed since the last time I had a stream. Yeah, I need to drink some more, but alright, I'll drink more. Okay, I think I'm good now. I will post the recipe for this in my Discord, and give this a try. As you saw, this isn't really rocket science, but it's one of those things that it is very comforting. I do not see Maverick yet, so I was going to raid him. I hope that he has a stream active so I could pass my people off to him, but as of yet I don't see him up here. Are you gonna get going, Tom? Thank you so much for coming to my stream. It's lovely to see you all here. MPH, I thank you so much for showing up on your evening, probably after you worked. You know, you own a cafe, you're probably not going to miss Mother's Day. That's a huge day for people going out. I want to thank LD for coming, and Cindy, and everybody else. We are going to go to a raid now. He is not showing up, but we're going to refresh to find him. My friend Maverick, too, is a variety streamer. We met. You're still not registering. We are going to raid Maverick. We met on stream. He was streaming Stranded Deep, and I was laughing at him. Yeah. Tom, dear, you're still not showing up as being live. So I'm going to hang on a little bit and try to go to you. There you go. Once again, Stranded Deep. That's awesome. This is how we met over a year ago. Thank you so much for showing up, LD. I know you value your time. Thank you all for coming. We'll see you next time. Peace out.
Oh no, I missed it.